Hello, everyone. My name is William Gocher, and this is my diversity training presentation on Generation Y. Generation Y, also known as millennials, are those born between 1981 and 1995. Over the years, the term millennial has become increasingly popular as a reference to Generation Y. And the current age for millennials is between 25 and 40 years old. The generations that were named with letters started with the baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, then Generation Z. Not all millennials are at the same stage in life. Some millennials are in early adulthood and wrestling with careers, and some millennials are homeowners who are starting a family. For this reason, researchers have divided Generation Y into Generation Y.1 and Generation Y.2. Generally speaking, Generation Y.2 has less knowledge of financial life than Generation Y.1. Data. According to Kasasa.com/articles/generations, there are roughly 72.1 million Gen Y or millennials in the United States. Texas ranks as the top state in the country where millennials are moving to. In fact, 3 cities in Texas rank in the top 10 cities where millennials are moving to. These cities are Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. Millennials comprise of 35% of Austin's population and 30% of Houston's population. Cultural values. According to SweetRush.com, millennials are optimistic and attracted to liberty in the pursuit of increased well-being and happiness for themselves and others. Millennials have access to more information than any other generation has ever had. Values such as collaboration, learning, diversity, flexibility, and understanding the purpose of what they do is all important values for millennials. Millennials are concerned about social justice, and millennials exert the influence on the world around them. Positive stereotypes. Millennials are tech savvy. Generation Y is the first generation to grow up with the internet. As a result, many millennials are comfortable learning and using social media platforms and other forms of communication. Millennials value collaboration, flexibility, and are result-oriented. Most millennials are innovative and question the common routine. Millennials often ask questions about a process to understand it and improve it. Negative stereotypes. One negative stereotype is that millennials are lazy. Many people believe that millennials are lazy because they naturally see things differently. This difference of opinion creates tension between some millennials and people from other generations. Millennials are compulsive job hoppers. Some people believe that millennials are the worst possible employees. This is usually the result of generational differences such as the baby boomer generation believing that millennials do not work as hard as they did and ask too many questions. And another negative stereotype is that millennials are impatient and unprofessional. Career field. According to Indeed.com/career advice, the rise of the internet has led to a shift in job preferences for millennials. Millennials tend to seek jobs in career fields such as healthcare, technology, social sciences, and sales more than any other generation. Common Gen Y jobs include IT specialist, which is technology, kitchen manager in the service industry, registered nurse in healthcare, and brand manager sales are just some of the common jobs for millennials. Communication in the workplace. Millennials generally enjoy building relationships between superiors and subordinates. In fact, maintaining open communication lines among superiors and subordinates is a key factor in improving employee engagement for millennials. This also helps to spread cultivating credibility throughout the workplace, which is central to the core of communication. Cultivating credibility is important for most millennials. and workplace satisfaction is an important factor in retaining millennials for employers. Verbal and nonverbal messages. We all communicate more information nonverbally than we do verbally, and millennials are no different. Many millennials avoid face to face interactions, especially in the workplace. Instead, most millennials prefer using text messaging and email to communicate with bosses and coworkers. Seemingly, the best way to communicate with millennial employees is to reach them through messaging applications. And differences in generations can influence the meaning of nonverbal messages. Interpersonal strategies and skills. We all explain behavior through attributions. And this is important because an attribution is an explanation of an observed behavior, such as the question, "How did this happen?" Millennials seem to be able to answer questions like this because millennials engage in high interpersonal skills that help them in communicating and explaining their perceptions. This is especially evident in social behavior. Well, millennials are able to interpret these behaviors and apply the corresponding attribution to the observed. Concepts of working in teams. Many millennials believe that successful teams strive for a balance of collaboration and openness. But teams can come together to serve a variety of functions in the workplace, such as developing product innovations, handling special projects, and engaging in employee development. Millennials tend to be more creative and innovative than any other generation in the workplace. This helps to create a collaborative working environment that is filled with people from different backgrounds that help provide a different perspective for employers. And in conclusion, throughout this presentation, I have provided an assortment of information about Generation Y, also known as millennials. Millennials help bring a strong sense of collaboration and flexibility to the workforce. Millennials currently are the most diverse generation and make up 50% of the workforce in the United States. And even though the term millennial is associated with negative stereotypes, most millennials are hardworking, passionate, and care about the well-being of others. One thing to remember, no matter what generation you were born in, we all seek validation and accommodation in what we say to one another. Always remember that we need to do our part in using effective listening skills that can help provide clarity and confidence in how we communicate with one another. Thank you.